for the PlayStation Vita. If you enjoy this experiment of a non-Otome player playing through their first Otome and trying to stay sane, please subscribe using the podcast app of your choice. Michelle, welcome to the Otomes of Life, where we are all DTF with Mitarashi. I understand that you have some important Otome news.
It's not important. I just feel like if we have any Otome fan listeners, they might be interested to know that this is semi old news, but I didn't say it on the podcast yet. But there are more Otome titles coming to the West in 2021 and 2022. So you just might want to know. Lover Pretend is coming out. Paradigm Paradox is coming out. And I need to really focus for this name. Kimi wa Yukima no Koinegu is also coming out.
I have
and
no idea.
The Pio Fiore Bandis, Pio Fiore 1926 is coming out. That I'm going to be getting automatically, just no delay. Summer 2022. Please let the Mafia Boys return.
I know nothing about any of these games, Michelle.
It's okay.
Out of the loop.
It's okay. And then I'll also remind everyone that all of the Otomate titles that were announced last year have now come out, I believe. So we're on the lookout.
Was Olympia Soiree one of those?
Yeah, Olympia Soiree was one of the games that were announced.
That is literally the only other Otome that I'm somewhat
That's actually
with.
incorrect. That's wholly incorrect. Dairoku's not out yet. Neither is Variable Barricade.
Yeah, those are my other two that I was looking forward to, Michelle. How could you forget those?
I think you might actually like Variable Barricade from what I've heard about it.
Well, I am looking forward to... I have just received Olympia Soiree, which was kind of a joke that I even got it before this podcast was even a thing. Because we do... You and I are in a Fantasy Critic, which is it's like fantasy football for video games.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to just take an Otome game out from under you, and that was the only one I knew of. Mm-hmm. So I think in order to let me draft that, the agreement was that I had to buy it and play it. So
yes, that's correct.
That's what I did.
So I'm very excited to hear your thoughts.
Oh, it's going to be negative, I'm sure. But the character that I'm going to date, I've already decided, the Undertaker. Obligated to play the Undertaker route. Being a wrestling fan, it is, if you give me a character who goes by the Undertaker, I have to play that route immediately. But anyway,
I might beat you in Fantasy Critic. I'm only 4 points behind you right now.
No, you're not gonna beat me, Michelle. We'll
I could.
We'll talk about this offline, but I'm gonna kick your butt. More importantly, new sponsor this week. This is a small company startup. They're going to be very grateful, Michelle, that I'm giving them free advertising this week. They're not a sponsor. They're free not sponsor. But I'm going to plug them anyway because, hey, we need scratch. All right? Maybe they'll find out and give us some scratch. So, hey, more importantly, Sweet Fuse. Now, this was an improvement, a vast improvement over last week. Mind you could have done anything other than what they did last week, and it would have been a vast improvement. I say last week, last stage.
Yeah.
We're not doing weeks anymore. But this is a little better balance between the romance angle, which I get is the heart of Otome.
The entire point.
I get the whole point is to date boys. But it has a better balance, I think, of the heart of Otome with actual interesting stuff in the background. So that's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, so we're just gonna talk mad shit out the gate. Okay.
Hey, you got me this far into the Otome. You just gotta go with it.
I'll remind you that this podcast was your idea.
It was, because I still think it's hilarious. Being a person of no interest in this genre, trying to play through these games and see what the hell this is all about. And I'm actually entertained in that sense. Even if I'm bashing on the game, I'm very entertained going down this rabbit hole. So this is not a lost time on me. But anyway, stage 5. I think we ended last time with Mitarashi just being like really. Basically, we're just creeping on Mitarashi while he's laying in bed. That was the whole last stage. He's hurt from the explosion from stage 3. When Irabe is betraying us and then saves us after we find out he's betraying us. And he's just laying in bed and we're babysitting him. And then the locket was nothing happening again. But stage 5 starts, and as soon as we wake up, we're running to Mitarashi's room because, of course, he's the stud. He's the man. We've got to see how he's doing. Is he dead yet? We don't know. But he opens the room and he's doing squats, which is a great sign. You don't do squats if you're hurt. I don't do squats anyway. But he's doing squats. He says he's feeling better. Great sign. Mitarashi leans in so Saki can check his fever to kind of prove that he's okay. And Saki gets really hot under the collar because she's so close to Mitarashi. And then Mai, sensing the tension in the room, says, "You're not going to kiss?" Whoa, but kiss? That's what boyfriends and girlfriends do, you know?
I hate this.
Saki, kind of blows that off and offers to change his bandage. And she sees, during this moment, the rippling physique.
Why are you describing them as rippling? That's not
rippling
how you describe muscles.
Pecs, Michelle. Rippling pecs.
That's not how you describe pecs.
As we chatted offline, Meg from Hercules describes Hercules' pecs as rippling, so there is precedent for this. And I'm pretty sure it's a common phrase anyway. But
you know what? Fun fact about the movie Hercules.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't like that movie, which is odd because I love Greek and Roman mythology.
Ooh. Well, that kind of butchers the mythology a little bit, I think.
They super butcher the mythology. I also just don't care for it in general. But I found out the other day, my mom's like, "You hate Hercules?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Why would you hate it? It's your birth movie." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She says, "I went to see Hercules. It was the last thing I did before I gave birth to you. I went to go see Hercules in theaters."
That is such an interesting thing to learn about yourself. Yeah. That's funny. Maybe that's why you hate it. Maybe it was like traumatizing you or something and you didn't know it yet. You weren't born yet, but you were hearing all of the music and stuff and was like, "No, I don't like this." That's funny. Saki's blushing about these massive pecs, this body of Mitarashi, and she's recalling that she did the same thing, bandaging Mitarashi on the first day because of the arrow that hit him in the shoulder. And, she comments that at the time, comments to Mitarashi that at the time he called her a child and says, and Mitarashi says, "Sorry, it's hard to get a handle on high school girls, they're kind of nuts."
I hate that she's in high school.
Mitarashi's obviously still feeling the lingering pain from the moment. So let's be forgiving of the misogyny. Let's be forgiving of the insulting words here. He's not completely there in his head. He says, "Do you want me to treat you like a grown woman?" And I write down, "Where is Chris Hansen?" And if you don't know who Chris Hansen,
the Bachelor host guy?
No, I think this is the guy who does To Catch a Predator.
Okay,
I was like, "Where is he at?" That's not something you say to a high school girl who is 16 years old. "You want me to treat you like a grown woman?" Yeah. Ugh. But I'm a little less forgiving of that line. A little less forgiving of that. They go to the lobby where they see where Mitarashi's kind of flexing to the group. He's just kind of like showing off that he's fine. He's great. And Shadow, his new best bro, the evil cop, questions if he's fit to rejoin. Which
as
Mitarashi
should, because you don't get over wounds like that fast.
This is reasonable. Well, this is kind of. I figured in a Otome world he would have been better by now. Honestly, I kind of expect him to wake up and be like, "Good to go. Let's go to the rides," But it actually is, holding to the rule that he's actually hurt. He says yes, he's feeling better, but he wants to find Urabe first. And him and Shido are kind of arguing about it when Shido finally says, "We were just going to leave you in bed anyway, so if you want to go look for Urabe, we'll just let you do whatever, you know."
Why are we looking for him?
Mitarashi is concerned about Urabe because he has this thing where, everybody's secretly good at heart, I think. And he's convinced that Urabe had a reason for what he did and doesn't want Urabe to be hurt. Is what I'm taking from this anyway.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Mai randomly during this conversation just dunks on her dad. I just wrote this down. It's kind of fluff text, but Shirabe just says something about wisdom coming with age, just in regard to the conversation that they're having, and Mai just goes, "Is that why you're so wise, Dad?" And Shirabe's like, "Why do you fucking hate me?" So Shirabe just gets dunked on. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Saki notices during all this conversation that Mitarashi's kind of swaying. He's not got the same pose that he normally has, that masculinity, that strong masculinity he has. He's kind of swaying a little bit. And I get my first choice of the stage, and I can say, "Good luck, buddy," okay, good luck. Or I can check if he's okay, which, him being best boy, I want to make sure he's healthy. Are you
He's
sure
so
you're
far
okay?
from best boy. It just irks me when you say that about him.
He is definitely, honestly, in my opinion, I think he is. I do honestly think he's one of the better boys, just from what I play.
You haven't played any of the other routes. How would you possibly know?
In real life, when you're with a group, you don't get to well, I guess some people do. You don't always get to have a full-on relationship with every person you meet and then get to pick which one you like the best. This is the one I was drawn to, Michelle. This is the chosen one. This is the one that fate has deigned for me,
My therapist told me something once.
Oh.
She said, "Michelle, you have terrible sense of who's good and who's bad. You simply don't know. You can never trust your first instinct. You gotta wait a little bit, take in some more information." That's how it is in Otome. Yeah, just don't.
And that's good advice. But I the way I'm seeing it is we're going in Otome, you get the full on relationship to the we're in love point with every boy, and in real life you don't always get to do that. That's just kind of
this
what
ain't
I'm
real
saying.
life. It's Otome.
So Mitarashi's insisting he's fine, but this makes Saki mad, and we finally get some more gameplay. The whole last stage, we didn't get to do any of this, but she's getting mad. She's hulking up. See, this is where you get the option to really tell somebody off, and I tell Mitarashi off. I say, "I know you're worried about Urabe, but we're worried about you too," And he just backs down.
Oh.
He admits he's being stubborn because he respects me, even though I'm just a little girl. Shido asked me to hang behind and watch him again. So he's like, "Hey, you did such a good job babysitting him last time. Why don't you babysit him again?"
There's more sexism. Why don't we?
Shido, they kind of play him, at least in this playthrough, as almost the leader.
Yeah, he definitely is.
He's definitely the leader.
There isn't a canon route, but if there was, he would be.
Yeah, everybody kind of just backs off everything he says because he's got leadership qualities, but at the same time he is, and we got a taste of it in stage 1, and I imagine you get more of it if you pick his route.
Mm-hmm.
He's very misogynistic. He's very much got a man complex.
It's very bad.
Yeah, I imagine I would have got more of that if I went his route.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those things where it's like IRL, don't waste your time trying to fix someone.
Mm-hmm.
But, Otome, maybe let him have it a little bit.
I can fix him. Oof. They go back to Mitarashi's room after, Shido says go babysit. And he just hides under the covers. He just goes, I guess he's pouting a little bit.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go back to his room. He wanted to go find Urabe. Saki recommends to Mai that they let him sleep. and go back to their room.
Mm-hmm.
But Mai wants to stay, so she just kind of fucks off back to her room. Mai's, I guess, laying in bed next to Mitarashi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the real dad for Mai.
It's so weird.
It is weird.
This quality of his. I really thought that him being good with children was gonna like play into his character for some reason, but it absolutely does not.
But we are about to get some more information as to why maybe he's so nice to children and people in general here shortly. Saki realizes she forgot her phone in her room. So when she goes back to her room, she realizes she has a message from God. So I guess in the last stage, we emailed God being KJ Inafune.
Yeah, our uncle, which is so fucking weird.
I guess we sent a text all about Mitarashi in the last stage, and his response is very much also mostly about Mitarashi. He says, so he puts himself in danger to protect his friends? I like it. It's not easy to find a man who's that honest with himself and who cares about people that much. So
why I can't.
God is saying this is a good man.
I can't. You know, I was a teenage girl once. Can't even fathom asking my uncle for romantic advice and then valuing his opinion.
Well, not every uncle is the greatest video game designer and theme park owner of all time, Michelle. This is a real man. This is Keiji Inafune. I'm actually disappointed I can't date him in this game. That would be weird because I'm.
Yeah.
I'm sad that the story doesn't allow for that context. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll cut this part out. Maybe I'll leave it in.
Oh no, I think you gotta leave it in.
I gotta leave it in. I'll leave it in. I forgot who the main character was for a second. The context of the story will not allow that because I am the niece, but I am sad that the game, when it was in development, was not considered to have a way to not be his niece and date Keiji.
I can't think of anything more humiliating than letting yourself be an Otome Game Boy. I can't imagine anything more embarrassing to be like, yeah.
It sounds like if you go after a certain boy, at least in Mitarashi, you get puffed up as the greatest human being of all time.
Yeah, but think about this. Self-inserts are generally frowned upon in writing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine putting your self-insert in an Otome game and everybody knows that it's you.
Uh-huh. To me, that sounds awesome.
That sounds very embarrassing.
And I would totally put code in the game that like sends the decisions people make to a server, so I know how many people picked me. I would totally do that. Like Life is Strange, I think they do something like that, and a lot of Telltale games did.
Yeah.
Where it's like 70% of people said Keiji Inafune was hot. You know, I would want to know that info.
Okay.
Anyway, we got that text from God, and Saki kind of thinks to herself, "I'm building powerful friendships here," but then questions in her mind again. But is Mitarashi really a friend? Just a friend? Uh-oh.
Yes.
We're having internal debate about our stance with Mitarashi right now. Saki goes back to Mitarashi's room, and Maya's asleep, but Mitarashi has fucked off. He's gone. So Maya did a great job. We wake up Maya, we're probably like, where the hell is Mitarashi? And she says, I had this dream where he patted me on the head and sang me a song and then left. You know?
No, I'm like, dream.
Oh God, you lost Mitarashi. Damn it. But thankfully, he hasn't gone too far. We find him in the boat lobby, and he's in an argument with two piglets. And I mean, this isn't just really an argument. He's suddenly just punching these dudes and like runs one of them into the wall and sends them flying.
Considering what the piglets are, is really kind of cruel.
And I haven't learned this yet. I have a feeling that it is probably going to be sad and really funny in hindsight when we learn what they are. But Saki's yelling at him. He's like, stop killing the piglets. She notices that Mitarashi's looking pretty rough after the fight. But Mitarashi's playing it off. He's like, "See, I'm fine." So he's recovering, but he's not there yet. He's still got
No, certainly not.
he's got some pain he's fighting through. Saki's like, "What the hell were you wanting from these piglets that made you do that?" And
Yeah.
Mitarashi's like, "Well, I asked him to take me to the dock." And by the way, during this conversation, he's got this big attitude. He's not like really thinking, oh, I'd be nice to Saki right now. He's a little fed up right now. And I was like, you really thought they'd just take you to the dock if you asked? It's obvious that that's not the way they're gonna roll, but okay.
Yeah.
Saki's arguing that he's gonna make himself worse. Mitarashi says he's sorry for making her worry, so he's calming down. And then he goes back to harassing the piglets again. The piglets
This is the man you call best boy.
Yeah, well, he's having this is his arc. This is the arc where he's being challenged and going through some hard times, Michelle. Everybody has these arcs. Finally, Mitarashi just says fuck it and gets on his knees and pleads to these piglets, and they're not caving. He says he has to look for Urabe. He can't sit around another day while he's in trouble. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to go back and just lay down while a man's out there possibly in trouble. So I get a choice. I can cave in and be all right, fine, do whatever, or I can say absolutely not. I say absolutely not. Because I don't want my boy to get hurt. I don't care if somebody else is hurt. I don't care if Urabe's hurt. Fuck Urabe. I get the heart bomb. I thought that was the wrong choice, but I got the heart bomb for that.
Yeah, it's really a theme in Otome games that when you're in the general route trying to get onto a specific route, you just tell people whatever they want to hear. But once you're in their specific route, you can challenge them, and that'll usually make them like you more.
Yeah. I got the heart bomb. I think you mentioned that a few weeks back, and I think I had that in the back of my mind. But I thought some of these were a little gray, which would be the right choice, which I thought was nice that it would be a little gray area. So especially for an inexperienced Otome player like myself.
Yeah.
He says, "Well, I guess you don't take any shit, huh? Not bad. I don't have many clients like that."
Yikes.
So he's comparing me again to the clients. He doesn't give in though. He finally says, "I cannot go back to just lying down." And finally, Saki caves in. She says, "Fine, but I'm coming with you. No more overexerting yourself." Mitarashi says, "Huh, you're a funny kid," and pats her on the head, which I thought was hilarious. I was laughing my ass off at that point. Like, why do you treat me like a kid so much?
Which I find she's in high school.
It is, and he should be treating her a little bit like a kid, maybe more like a teenager, but like a kid. And but it's just funny because Saki's intentions are so different than what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Saki and Mitarashi go back to Mitarashi's bedroom to plan. And Mitarashi wishes Shido was here to help him plan because he's all smart and stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't have Shido. We got to use our own brains, damn it. But the way, and that's actually funny, the way they overcome this is Saki says, we need to think like Shido, which is, why haven't we ever thought of this stuff like this? It's like, we have all these problems. It's like, why don't we think like Einstein? And then we can solve these problems. Or,
Yeah.
Why don't people just think like smart people,
Exactly. Why don't you just become smart?
Yeah, just be smart for a second. But we have a explosive insight, which it goes over the recent conversation and you pick out the keywords. I've really got sour on this gameplay mechanic because it's so silly.
Yeah, it is.
But the conclusion of this explosive insight is that we realize it's important that the group dies specifically in the games. So the piglets are freaking out about basically their big task, we conclude, is to make sure that we're alive until the games. So they won't let us leave the ship and potentially be killed somewhere else before Hogstein wants to see us dead. And that comes into play for our plan. But our plan is after our not sponsor, which is a small startup company. Michelle? You ever wanted to just know any random piece of information? Just anything?
I swear to God, if you did Google,
Michelle, it's a small startup company called Google. They have like email and web searches, and they have a whole phone operating system, and they had this really shitty Google Glass thing which had everybody up in arms for like 2 months, and then everybody dropped it. Amazing company. I suggest you look it up, Michelle.
Do you?
Yeah, great company. Full of good people who only think about their employees. And making the world a better place, and not only focused on making money and selling our information to other companies.
Of course.
So, thank you, Google, for being our not sponsor. Thank you for the money that you're about to send me. Send me some info too. I'd like to know, what people are searching for. Short ad today because we got a lot to go through. Saki goes to the lobby and screams to the piglets that Mai is missing, which they don't give a shit about. But they point out that
I had genuine anxiety when this happened when I played the game for the first time because I'm like, shit, Shirobei's gonna fucking kill us. We lost his kid in the middle of a death game.
I wasn't actually worried at this point that Mai was in danger. I think it's a little stupid that, for what's coming up in a minute, that we'll just get to that in a minute. I'll try to remember to come back. She says Saki may have fallen in the water, and she points out that Mitarashi is stupid and may try jumping in the water to look for her, which is kind of funny. She doesn't call him stupid, but I put that in there. That's basically what she's saying. And at the thought of Mitarashi maybe putting himself in harm's way, the piglets are freaking out now, and they run out to look for her. And Saki actually, I think, like, locks the door as they leave, which is kind of funny to like keep them from coming back into the lobby. Mitarashi pops out. It has another wonderful, pain-induced misogyny. Guess it's true what they say about every woman being an actress.
Oh, no.
Forgot
about that. Ew.
Yeah, that's a pretty blatant one. I can't excuse that one very much. So Mitarashi just basically runs to the helm of the ship while the piglets are distracted and just drives the ship to the dock, which I'm thinking, I don't know how to drive a cruise ship. Does he know how to just drive a cruise ship?
Yeah, how do you know how to drive a cruise ship?
I'm pretty sure if I drove a cruise ship, I would ram it ashore. It would not stop by the dock nicely parked. It would be disaster.
Yeah.
But he does. I'm imagining he's just like, parallel parking this sucker in. And we're there. We're free. We're at the docks. We leave Mai's ass on the boat. So
yeah,
Shirabe has right to be pissed. And it's unclear whether Mai is okay with being left alone on the boat. I don't think she got much say in this.
I feel like you definitely shouldn't leave this child unattended, though, huh?
Yeah, that seems like a stupid idea. It would have been stupider to bring her with us, but it's also stupid to leave her. I think the more responsible thing to do would have been let Mitarashi do what he wanted and stay with Mai. But we are blinded by love and rippling pecs right now.
We don't have to describe them as rippling. We don't have to do this.
Listen, with pecs like these, how can you think of anything else, Michelle?
We have agency. We're human beings.
Saki and Mitarashi decide to check the castle first, because in the last stage we made a comment that Urabe's beads were found by the castle. And but while they're going there, they walk by the big giant crater where the bloodstained hospital exploded. And Saki starts having some PTSD. They don't describe it as this, but I kind of imagine this is that she is kind of having PTSD.
Yeah.
Mitarashi, though, my man, pulls Saki close while she's freaking out looking at this crater. I'll figure this thing out. You're gonna be fine. and then puts his hand on her head and ruffles her hair.
Oh my god. This is so rude.
I'm laughing my ass off every time he has this sweet moment. He then does some bullshit and be like, and then pats her on the head like a child, or ruffles her hair like a little teenager. Like, you're going to be fine, little man. It's so funny. But she comments, while he's holding her, that she feels the warmth of his body everywhere.
Yeah.
She doesn't even, it's a good point, she doesn't, like, react much to when he treats her like this. I think a lot of it is she's oblivious to it.
Yeah.
But as the gamer, I'm like, oh, dude, that's a rejection. You need to about face right now.
My favorite type of bad endings are ones where, because like, there are bad endings where you are like in the romance with the person, and then the bad ending is that you fuck up a choice and then they die or something.
Mhm.
There are also bad endings where you just pick all the wrong answers during the build up of the route, and then at the end they're just like, I'm just I'm not into you. Like, sorry, but like I'm not feeling it. Those are the fun bad endings.
That's funny. And honestly, I feel like I'm doing well enough that I'm gonna get the good ending. It's just the vibe I'm getting with all the heart bombs.
Yeah, I think you'll probably be fine to get the good ending if you keep on the track you're on.
But I feel like the way he's acting, the bad ending is the only right choice here. He doesn't seem that interested.
No, he super isn't.
Anyway, she eventually just like pulls the anime. Oh no, I'm suddenly embarrassed because you're touching me, and oh no, I'm actually attracted, but I'm acting mad because I'm an anime girl. They get to the castle, and the front gates are locked. Of course, no shit. And it's kind of funny because he just kind of like knocks on the door and pulls on the handle a few times, and then like walks around a little bit, and they just go, huh, and then just leave. They fuck off. They just that's it. Mission accomplished, I guess.
Yeah.
So they go eat. And they go back to that damn Alice in Wonderland restaurant, which is the funniest shit every time this is this the only restaurant in the whole park?
I think it's a food court.
It's a food court. It's so funny. They're just like, man, that was really horrid stuff that happened. Well, let's go to Alice in Wonderland restaurant to eat. That's just so funny to me.
What's funnier to me is that they let the piglets cook for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now they have the logic and knowledge that they're not going to hurt them and they're going to keep them alive and sustain them. They didn't know that up until this point. Yeah. So why would you trust them to cook? But they've just been trusting them this whole time. Saki points out that Mitarashi has several plates of food.
Mm-hmm.
He says, damn right, I need to get my strength back. And I think
this is a thing I see in anime a lot, and I don't know that that's actually how it works.
It's video game logic, which is kind of appropriate for the theming of this part. But I compare this to Night 2. When Saki sat down, I don't even think they described it as plates of food. I think they described it as one larger plate of food that she had ordered. Mm-hmm. And the whole group shit on her for that. Like, what are you eating so much for? And now it's like Mitarashi's like, I'm gonna eat 17 plates of food and there's nothing you can do to stop me. And we're just supposed to find this comedic, and I'm like, that's double standard as fuck.
It is.
It is. And he's eating nothing but meat because meat makes you better. Duh. What's his quote? Meat makes you better.
At what?
At just in general. He doesn't clarify.
I feel like of the foods that you can, like, you know that feeling after you've eaten a lot and you're tired? I feel like meat is one of the foods that can do that the most. Give you the post-food coma.
It's a lot of protein. Well, he is a muscly man. With rippling pecs.
Yeah.
He probably needs a lot of protein to keep that muscle mass,
Maybe.
Yeah. Mitarashi makes sure that Saki eats though. A little bit of character insight there. He's not eating alone. He's making sure she gets her fill. At one point, the game actually describes that he has a leg of chicken in each hand before putting them in his mouth at the same time. And I write down, and I don't know if you'll get this reference, that he's going full Goku here. Have you ever seen the clips where Goku's eating in Dragon Ball?
No.
He's just got like, I'll have to show you a clip or something after this. He's just usually got like, it's usually an event when Goku eats in Dragon Ball, because
Mhm.
like all the characters are like bringing him like plates and plates and plates and plates and plates of food, because he's like the strongest warrior. He needs his food to eat to
Mhm.
sustain it, you know.
Yeah.
And he's just downing food, and usually he's doing like a chicken in each hand and eating it and stuff. Like, it's really comical. It's one of his
Okay.
character things. Um, so yeah, he's going full Goku. Um, but Mitarashi, I guess, decides to take a break from his dual handing chicken to tell the rest of his life story. He just suddenly just opens up about after
Yeah.
his parents died. We learned in the last stage his parents died, and that grandma was taking care of him. Saki's very excited about this, because anytime you get to learn more about your big crush, it's like, oh, he's opening up to me. This is such an honor, you know?
Mhm.
So here's more of Mitarashi's backstory. After he got taken by his grandma, he developed some attitude problems. So he's Kanji from Persona
Yeah.
4. Grandma
Except for the
tried
fact
to.
that Kanji was raised by his actual mom.
Was it his mom? I was thinking it was his grandma, but it's his mom,
Nah,
wasn't
this
it?
is his regular mom.
His regular mom? Okay. So
Mhm.
I mixed that up. Grandma tried to help, but he was too stubborn to really listen. He calls himself an immature little shit during this period of his life.
Mhm.
He says he would start going home less and would just wander the streets at night, eventually leading a local gang. Kanji from Persona 4.
Yeah.
Um, but after he graduates high school, his grandma died, which is very sad. Uh, the only family he had left. And her last words to him: I don't care what you do with your life, but I hope you'll be someone like your mother. Someone who can put a smile on anyone's face. And boy, did he take that literally.
That's an
Um,
interesting way that he took that, to be quite
yeah,
honest.
well, I mean, when you're a gang, I mean, I guess
Like, I'm
certain
not
life.
mad at it, you know?
No, it's a certain lifestyle probably leads you to several directions when you think of how am I going to make people smile. You know,
Yeah, for
he
sure.
goes leading a gang, and what kind of things do gangs talk about or hang out at or think about? Probably this escort lifestyle is probably one of those directions that your mind would naturally go to.
For sure.
Um, Mitarashi wishes he had spent more time with his grandma. He starts tearing up. Um, he then says that he did become the escort after that. Saki surmises that the reason he chose the career as an escort was to make people smile. And I'm like, yeah, he did. He sure
That is
did.
correct.
Uh, and then Mitarashi just remembers he's a man, a manly man, and says, don't tell anyone, especially Shadow, the cop. And I'm like, aren't you
Yeah,
friends with
fair.
Shadow now? Aren't you bros?
But he's
Bros
still
can
a
like
fucking
talk.
cop. He's still a cop, and you know he would arrest
Oh
a friend.
yeah, that's a good point. Good
He
point. He
would
is a
like,
cop.
absolutely. Like, Mitarashi would be like, "Hey, just FYI, I'm a sex worker, by the way." And then Shido would be like, "Oh, that's a shame because we are good friends, but I am going to have to bring you in once this is over." Like, you know?
That's really funny. Um, he comments he felt he could open up to Saki after Saki made the comment about seeing children smile in the previous stage. Um, he says, none of the ladies I see at work are anything like you. You're just, I don't know, more fun. I didn't feel weird. It did not feel weird to tell you this. And then he goes to get more food. It's like, well, the buffet's still open.
Yeah, time to go get more food. Bye.
Well, see you later. Um, Afterward, they go over to Alice Cart. They're still looking for Urabe, and I'm like, what? You just assumed he was in the castle because the last place we have evidence he was at was in the castle. The beads were in front of the castle. The castle's locked. I would just have assumed at this point it was a lost cause and that he's in the castle and whatever. But no, they're wondering if he's just wandering around Alice Cart for some reason.
Yeah.
Um, Suddenly, though, Hogstein appears on a nearby monitor, and they question him about Urabe. They're like, "Hey, Hogstein, you got our friend?" Question mark. Um, they say, Hogstein says that Urabe visited him yesterday to try and stop the game and get them released. Which, I don't know why they would believe anything this pig says, but okay.
Yeah, for real.
Hogstein says he's going to keep him hostage, but because they snuck away, they had to find him by midnight, or the attraction he is on will explode with him. So he's going to sort of make a new death game to punish them for wandering, leaving the boat and wandering around the park. So they're looking for Urabe before midnight, or he's dead. And then he fucks off the minute the monitor turns off, and they start going, "Oh shit!" And then a nearby piglet who's guarding the Alice cart gate, just randomly decides to give them info, which unclear why he would do this.
Yeah.
Unless he's following the mandate to keep Urabe alive.
Yeah.
Which is the only reason I would think that a piglet would be like, "Oh shit, Urabe's not supposed to die. Here's some info to go get him."
Yeah.
But he's doing the gesturing thing, and Mitarashi and Saki don't understand shit. Because Mayoshi is the only one, the gamer, who understands anything these idiots say.
That's why he's the best boy.
Sure. Mitarashi just gets frustrated because he can't understand it and just tries to fuck off. He just starts running. And I get a choice. I can say, "Don't be so impatient," or I can be really timid and just go, but, you know. I get mad at him. I say, "Don't be so impatient." I get the heart bomb. So apparently, like, what the piglet was trying to say was he's in an attraction. But not 2 minutes ago, and that's actually the writing quality of this game has never been 10 out of 10.
Great.
But this particularly stood out because not 2 minutes ago in this game, Hogstein explicitly says he's in an attraction, go find him. And then they act surprised when this piglet says he's in an attraction, go find him. And that really irked me. And there's actually another piece later in this I'm going to point out. They talk to the piglet more and figure out that he's in an attraction that they've already beaten. So he's not in a future attraction. He's in a previously beaten attraction.
Yeah.
So at this point, they start running around the park. They go to Samurai Fantasy 7, which is from stage 1. And at this point, I'm thinking to myself, are they forgetting that they missed a day? He's probably in that stage that they didn't go to because she was babysitting Mitarashi the whole time. And sure enough, after they go around the park, they go, "Oh shit, we missed a day. Let's go check that place." So they go to Moonlight OX, which we missed last time, and we get to see this time, and it's a new background, a new aesthetic, and it's actually pretty sick, Michelle.
Yeah.
It's kind of sick.
It's great.
I remember, like, there's like just a cartoony looking rocket ship in the background, but the whole aesthetic is just like sci-fi and like
it's like Buzz Lightyear.
Starry night and lights, and then they go inside and it's like industrial looking sci-fi. Really, anything new in this game I'll take. But this one's one of the more interesting designs. So they get to the park and Shadow calls. Because they're done with their thing at this point, and they're back on the boat, and they're like, "Where the fuck is everybody except Mai, because she's right there alone?" And he's pissed, and Hogstein, he informs Saki and Mitarashi that Hogstein told the group, after they beat their game, that Saki and Mitarashi snuck away from the boat and are playing a separate game.
Yeah.
So Shadow's not happy, as he shouldn't be. Shadow says he made a deal with Hogstein about having one phone call to walk them through what the hell this attraction is and how it actually works. Which seems very kind of Hogstein.
Yeah.
It is not the first time we've talked him into allowing us a privilege, a bonus privilege, which is weird. And I'm wondering if this is just weird writing, weird character development, weird character trait, or if there's a reason.
There's always a reason in Otome.
Mm. Uh, so he basically explains how the stage works. I didn't write down how it worked, honestly. I think it's like two people get on a small ship and then they have to like shoot jewels on their heads or something. It's like a co-op spaceship thing. I think they share the spaceship. So, and then he mentions beware of the forks in the road. I did write that down. So I guess you have to pick the right direction or you die. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Saki hangs up. And I'm like, he didn't specify how long the phone call needed to be. You could have taken a good 30 minutes and just shared all the
Yeah, you
answers.
could have just we could have stayed on the line a little longer.
But she's like, oh, thanks for telling me to beware the forks in the road. I won't ask you if you remember which one's the right one. Bye. All right. Oh my God, Saki, what the hell?
She's not smart.
No. And that wasn't even the point I was going to get to, but that's another shitty writing there. Saki hangs up the phone, turns to Mitarashi. And Mitarashi, when she turns around and sees what Mitarashi's doing, he's just like in awe of the sight, this attraction. He's like, he doesn't say this, he's like, oh, it's so beautiful, dude. You know, like he's just full on brain off right now, just taking in the view.
Head empty, no thoughts.
And Saki just tells him how he's being cute right now and how it's cute that he likes theme parks. And Mitarashi starts to blush. And he admits that he loves theme parks. And then he says, it's embarrassing to be an adult and admit you like this kiddie stuff.
Why? Everyone likes theme parks.
I was like, dude, this sounds like a killer theme park from the sounds of it. It's a little lame that it's not got real video games in it and it's a bunch of made up shit, but I would love to go to a Mega Man theme park.
The capital to get the licenses for the real games. To be honest. Otome games they're pretty low budge.
I don't know. I kind of wondered if Moonlight OX was like a play on Mega Man X because of
might have been
similar lettering, but it doesn't seem to be. But anyway, he's worried about looking like a child and with these theme parks. Which again, if I'm Saki and I am under the age of 18, 16 in Japan, or was it 15 in Japan? I can't remember.
16 in Japan.
16 in Japan. I am like, oh, he doesn't like to be around kitty things publicly. Maybe I should not approach the romance arc with him. But I'm pushing forward because I think this is hilarious. So we get into the attraction, which is the like industrial sci-fi look. It looks like there's like a cart that's on rails.
Yeah.
And I get a chance to ask Mitarashi how he's holding up. Or no, I'm sorry, Mitarashi asks me how I'm holding up. And I get a choice. I can say I'm fine, or I can say I'm a little scared.
Yeah. I'm like, everyone knows. You gotta make yourself appear helpless to attract men. It always works in real life, I'm sure. You know? Pro strats.
And I did pick that because I'm such a romance professional. I know this. And I say I'm a little scared, and I get the heart bomb, so we're still on target for the good ending, I think.
Yep. And so far, you picked all the right answers.
Oh, great. Mitarashi responds the way I fooled him into responding, and wraps his arms around me, around Saki, and his voice rings in Saki's ear. He says, I promise I'll never let you cry.
That's a weird thing to say, sir.
Well, I think this particular point I don't think is that bad because I think he's pointing out the comment she made last stage about not letting people cry and how his grandmother said don't let you cry. So I think he's got that in his head when he says it.
Probably.
So I'm not too torn up on that line. Suddenly, it's a little creepy though.
Yeah, for sure.
Suddenly, the lights for the attraction power down, so it's dark inside. It's just suddenly everything's off, and Hogstein comes over to the PA. Comes over the PA. Sorry, we'll have to save the fun for tomorrow. For some reason.
For
And then
some reason.
Hogstein explains not to worry about the time limit of midnight anymore. They'll just resume this game at the same time the other game happens tomorrow for the rest of the crew. And he extends the time limit in general to 7 p.m. tomorrow. So, no explanation yet as to why he about-faced on the whole midnight thing.
Yeah, it's very weird.
I don't know if I'll get an explanation.
I
I
don't know
was
that
at
going this route, no.
Yeah. I was at this point like getting really weary of how long the stage was because this was a really long stage. It took its time getting to this point, and I tried to trim a lot of the fat.
And they're only gonna get longer because we're in
Yeah,
mid-game.
and I was like, if we're actually going to do a whole like thing, I'm going to stop because this is going on forever. And thankfully, when this was about the point where I was about to stop for the night, and then he says this, I was like, okay, good. They knew it was getting a little long winded, and they just found
Mm-hmm.
an excuse to wait. So they have to spend the night in the attraction. I guess they're just stuck in here in the dark. And I guess it's getting cold inside because for some reason it's nighttime, I guess. And Mitarashi gives Saki his coat. What a man, giving the lady his coat. She
Mm-hmm.
asks him, aren't you cold? And he goes,
Men don't get cold.
no, he doesn't actually. He says, all right, yeah, I'm actually kind of cold. It's pretty chilly in here. And it's kind of like in the Scott Pilgrim movie when he goes, maybe we should both get under the covers because we're so cold. you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like that. It's kind of the way I interpret it. He's like, I found a way to get under a coat with this girl, this 16-year-old girl.
Yeah,
So weird. So they get under the big coat together, and Mitarashi says, looks like this is our only option. Sharing the coat. He's totally being that guy right now.
Mm-hmm.
We get a new CG. And I wrote down that Mitarashi has a big nose because we get a side profile of Mitarashi's nose, and it's like
Yeah,
really big.
they like the look of people in this game between CGs is not very consistent. Sometimes those CGs they look a little off.
It's at this point the writing takes a nosedive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Saki says, I could see myself reflected in his eyes. And I said, bullshit! It's dark in there! It's pitch black! You can't see shit right now, let alone a reflection in someone's eyes.
Yeah.
Mitarashi acts all embarrassed. Saki at this point decides that Mitarashi is more than a friend, and he had been for a long time. I said, bullshit! Up
Nope.
until this
You've
moment,
known this man for 5 days.
for one, it's been 5 days, and two, he just patted you on the head like a kid not 2 hours ago.
Yes.
And suddenly, I guess being alone in a dark room with another woman has changed his opinion on how to proceed with this girl. It's so sudden that he's about face. I think the change point is supposed to be him opening up to her at the dinner table, about his grandma, and I guess at that point he's decided in his mind to be more romantically inclined to her.
I guess.
But it's still weird. It's
very weird.
She says she has to do something now or she'll go crazy. And I'm assuming she's going to say, I'm in love or something. She goes, hey, Ryusei. By the way, I don't use his first name a lot. His first name was shared to be Ryusei.
Yeah, and
Earlier in the game.
it's generally a big deal when they start using first names. I don't know that like they discussed this whatsoever before she started doing it, which makes it a little weird to me.
I've always had the impression, just I work for a Japanese company in real life. I always get the impression that it's very uncommon to use first names unless it
Yeah, it
is a
super is.
deeper friendship or at least a more relaxed level of friendship with somebody.
And
Um,
generally, from what I understand, like, there's some discussion before you just switch over to it, like, "Hey, I think we're good friends. We should start using our first names
hmm
instead of, like, just going in there with it."
hmm hmm Um,
So, Saki's being bold here.
yeah, yeah. Saki's going in for it. She's going for it, and I'm really thinking she's going to say, "Hey, I'm in love with you" or something here. But he interrupts
We
her.
got 2 more levels.
Yeah, and Mitarashi interrupts her and says, "It's Ryuji.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, I forgot about that.
Ryusei is his stage name." So he does. Oh, I would have been like, "Wait, you're gonna tell this man you love him? You didn't even know his real damn name." I would be like, maybe I should think this through a little bit better.
Yeah, for real.
Maybe would have been a decision I would maybe not be ready for yet. Um, Mitarashi says he's told her his life story and may as well share his real name. So yeah, I think that's the indication that that was the point that he came around to her
Mhm.
being maybe a romance. And but Saki, after he says that, just kind of just drops her comment. She's not going to say anything anymore. Uh, and they go to sleep, and that's the end of the stage, except for the locket. Bullshit. And something fucking happens this time, other than eating ice cream or riding in a car. Well, they're still riding in a car, but something happens while they're in the car. There's a big bright light, and uh, they start panicking, and it actually like preluded the locket scene with this is the night of doom or something like that. And end scene, they see the bright light, they panic, end scene. So I'm just
Yeah.
assuming a nuke went off. I don't care. um Something exploded, and I'm assuming it's going to kill some of that family. And I
Yeah.
wrote, at least something is happening now during the locket scene.
Yeah, it's getting somewhere.
So that ends the stage, and I'm a little more positive on this stage. I don't think you could get much worse than the last stage.
Mm.
Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Um,
Oh, no, I just don't think that the last stage was bad.
uh, Listen, like I get, we had this discussion last time. I don't want to go too far into it this time,
Yeah, no, I won't repeat
unless we need
myself
to.
other than that I'm correct, but,
I feel like yes, Otome is all about the romance, but I feel like stage 5 for the person who is having their first Otome experience.
this
Stage 5 is a finer balance of including the world and the situation that you find yourself in and using that to advance the romance rather than just
uh,
we're sitting in a room and we're falling in love now.
yeah, but you need that, though. Also,
Yeah,
to, like, build up the relationship, you need to give the characters, like, a reason to sit around and talk sometimes.
he was hurt. I don't know. I don't know. I felt like making that the whole stage was maybe the downfall because that's just such a
Mhm.
long segment of the game that you're spending doing nothing. If you had like a scene where it's like I went and checked on Mitarashi and then we had this discussion and then it's like okay now the rest of the group is going to go do the stage but I'm thinking about Mitarashi the whole time. You know, I'm seeing things that remind me of him while I'm doing the stage. I feel like that is stronger than just let's just not do anything for a whole stage. Just my opinion. You know me, the
Mhm.
master Otome writer that I am. And I'm drawing from my experience playing other video games too, and what I prefer in other mediums that I enjoy. But mind you, I don't play a lot of romance oriented media or
Yeah.
feel a lot of it. But
Yeah.
anyway, Michelle, any other thoughts about stage 5?
Um, we're getting somewhere. I don't like this boy, so I don't like this route, so I'm not having a good time, but I'm not like it's not the game's fault necessarily. I don't know.
That's okay, because you get to now enjoy what you think is good Otome by completing your download of Olympia Soiree and playing through what Otome Kitten says is the greatest Otome of all time or something like that. I don't know anything about it. I'm assuming. So anyway, Google, give me a phone call. I'm looking to work with you. Number 2, we are the number 2 if you search for us. On my search list, Google, you'll see, because you have my data from when I search on your stuff, I'm the number 2 podcast that shows up on your Google podcast for Otome related items. So you can find me there, Google, or you can use our Twitter accounts. Michelle, we have tweeters.
You have tweeters.
Yeah, they're down below in wherever the description is on the particular site that you're on, and or app that you're on. And I think that's it. I won't talk about the money button this time because that seems rather insensitive, I guess, to people's money. So I won't do that anymore. I'll just keep hitting up Google.
Comments about that?
No, I just well, you know, Jess, when she listens to the podcast, she sometimes makes little comments about, why did you do that? You know, like, you know, I was just like, okay, noted. So anyway, all of it's in good fun anyway. But I will see you next time when I beat my head through stage 6.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya.
Get the hell out, Craig.
Bye, Craig.